15 Shilas. The 15 Shilas are 15 positive behaviors or 15 social qualities that can really help you win friends, help you to live a better life, have more inner peace, have more social peace. And I also mentioned the book by Dale Carnegie, which I forget the title of, How to Win Friends and Influence People. That's a great book. I find that this 15 Shilas is kind of in that book as well. So, what have we discussed so far? We've talked about forgiveness. We talked about magnanimity of mind. Today, we're at number 3, perpetual restraint on behavior and temper. However, I decided to give you a preview of the other two, 4 and 5, because today we're going to do 3 and 5 all in one. Okay? So we'll be discussing number 4 next week, but then we will have finished number 5 this week. And we're going by this list, which was a list that was created by the Tantric guru Sri Sri Anandamurti. So let's read just what is number 4. Readiness to sacrifice everything of individual life for ideology. Okay, so we'll be talking about that next week. But today, since I find them similar, we're going to lump 3 and 5 together. So it's perpetual restraint on behavior and temper, and all-around self-restraint. Okay? So, what shall we say about this topic? Now, human beings have kind of several things going on at the same time. Okay? There is, for example, the senses. Okay? I hear things, I see things, I smell things, I can touch things, I taste things. Those senses, what do? They externalize us. You know, like I have a baby, for example. My son, he's 7 months. So my baby, you know, if I sit him down on the couch, he's not going to be still. As soon as he's sat down, it doesn't matter what's in front of him. It could be a blanket, it could be a toy, it could be a phone, it could be anything. He just immediately reaches out and touches it. Doesn't matter what it is, you know? So it could be keys, he's just going to grab it. So what does that show? It shows that human beings are externalized by way of their senses. They want to explore the world through their senses, right? So that's very natural. And that's not the only thing that externalizes us. Then there are our organs. So for example, we all have a stomach. So what is the stomach designed to do? The stomach is designed to take in food, digest food. So what will you want to do as a human being? You will naturally want to eat. You know, human beings have sexual organs. So what do the sexual organs, what are their function? They are to, you know, procreate, have sex. So what's going to happen to a human being? Well, they're going to have sex because they have organs that are designed to do that, that want to do that. So like that, you know, we have these different organs that can also sometimes, they have their own agenda, you know. Like, for example, we have a digestive system. So sometimes if you take food, but right after that you want to get to work, well, the body is going to slow you down. It doesn't care that you have a schedule to keep, you have goals to meet. The digestive system is going to start to break down the food, and that's going to take energy from you, and it's going to slow you down. It's going to make you sleepy, and you can't stop it because your digestive system has an agenda. So what else do human beings have that are constantly externalizing them? Well, we also have a palette of emotions, a whole palette of emotions, from physical desire to intellectual desire, to um, cruelty, to shyness, to hope, to the need for service and performing noble actions, to wanting to gain spiritual knowledge or mundane knowledge. These are all mental propensities that human beings have that are external and internal. So, as you can see, human beings are pulled apart in so many different directions, from their senses to their bodies, and the different dharmas of the organs and what they want to do. Um, like for example, just take a look at um, there's something called shukra. Shukra in Sanskrit means basically like the seminal fluids, or procreative fluids. And these fluids, when they are inside of the body, they nourish the body. This shukra, like lymph, it's basically like lymph. It nourishes the brain, nourishes the glands. But men, experience often, for example, if they don't have any sex, they will still, in dreams, have, release, will ejaculate. So let's say that, somebody is a monk and they don't want to have this type of experience, but it's involuntary. The body has these processes that they can be controlled, but they have to be sort of scientifically tempered. Otherwise they have their own agenda, and they will just kind of be and do. So I've given you lots of examples. And so with this situation happening, it becomes very difficult to, as this Shila proposes, let's look at the Shila again. It becomes difficult to have perpetual restraint on behavior and temper and just all around restraint. Okay? For example, if we talk about temper, that has to do with, how neurotic is a person. There are people, even myself included, sometimes people have said things to me and I lash out in anger. I raise my voice, or a friend says something and I have a visceral response and I say something inappropriate. So then the mental temperance, it sometimes it can get the best of us. So what we want to do is we want to develop a mechanism to have a sense of all around restraint, perpetual restraint, because if not, things will get completely out of hand. Things will be completely chaotic. If, for example, you have the taste buds for sweets and you love delicious cakes and ice creams and you decide, well, why not? Life is short. Life is short. I should eat the best foods and the tastiest foods and the foods that bring me the most joy. So I will just eat ice cream and cookies and cakes. But and so you see, your taste buds, they may be wired to enjoy that. But we know what happens if you do that too much. You will get sick. You're not giving the body the right nutrients that it needs. You will gain weight. You will bring down a lot of energy with the sugar. So, although sugar gives energy, but then it also drops. And so, then you see, like, we cannot just let our organs dictate what we should do. We cannot just let our senses, also dictate what we should do. And the same thing with our emotional palate, our propensities, the mental propensities. Yes, you are wired to be peeved. You are wired to be irritated mentally. But that doesn't mean that you should just be irritated all the time and lash out at anybody and then say, oh, well, that's just what my mind does, So therefore, how to control, how to have a sense of self-restraint so that we are not causing chaos to ourselves, not causing chaos to others, causing chaos in the world. Well, now let me point to you to this iconic metaphor, this archetype that you may have heard of before. This is the chariot and the charioteer, the classic metaphor of the chariot and the charioteer. So now let's address who's in this picture first, but it's actually, anyways. So let's address who's here. So this is a picture from the Bhagavad Gita, the epic tale of when Arjuna is on the battlefield. He's fighting his cousins and who want to take over the kingdom. But he is the rightful heir to the kingdom. And he decides, well, this is too much of a big problem. I'm just going to step aside. If they want to lead, let them lead. But then Krishna shows up. And Krishna shows up in character as his charioteer. Krishna becomes his charioteer and tells him, no, you have to fight. This is, if you don't fight, everybody will suffer. If you let your cousins, take over the kingdom, they're super corrupt. Everybody's going to suffer. So you need to assume your duty. And convinces Arjuna, and they have this wonderful, wonderful philosophical discussion that is super profound. That we will maybe get into the teachings of the Gita, maybe in some other sessions. But, and then Arjuna agrees to fight. So, that's the background of this picture. But now I want to point to something else that you see here in this picture. Now, the human mind, the mind is a lot like this construct that we have here. So for example, we have the horses here. We have 4 horses, but sometimes there can be 5 horses in these chariots. And what these horses represent are the senses. In this case here we have 4 senses, but we have 5. So they would represent the 5 senses. Okay? The 5 senses, they want to see, they want to touch, they want to taste. They could go in all different directions. One day, you want to see this. Another day, you want to go to a concert and listen to this. Another day, you want to, you want to go off and see Europe. Okay, but then now you want to go and see Africa. Okay, and now you want to write a book, and so you will do this and that, and so. And maybe writing a book is motivated by some other thing that I want to make money from this book, and I want to get all the nicest clothes. And so our senses are externalizing us. And so if there isn't a proper charioteer, if there isn't somebody that's holding the reins, then the senses, then those 5 horses, or the 4 horses here, they will completely, like go in all 4 different directions. And in the end, the passenger here, or the charioteer, they will get nowhere. So the, we have here the, for example, the passenger in the back. He has an agenda. He has a goal. He has something he wants to accomplish. But if those horses are not going to listen to the charioteer, then you will never get to the destination. So if the 5 horses or the 4 horses represent the senses, okay, it could also represent the body. Right? Like we talked about, the organs also have an agenda. They also want to do things. Now then the charioteer would represent the mind. The mind is supposed to control the body. The mind is more important than the body. The mind experiences things even more deeply than the physical senses. Okay? Um, that's why dreams are so interesting. They're so intense. Dreams can be super intense simply because they're happening inside of your mind. Whereas waking life, like this moment, is just kind of less intense. But because you're experiencing it also in a physical way. But when everything's just in your mind, it's super intense. So then, and then the passenger can represent like the soul. You know, the soul is on a journey, right? It knows the true destination. But sometimes even the mind is a little confused and is going to guide the senses in a different way. Anyways, that's also another discussion. But if the charioteer is the mind, then what are the reins? What do the reins represent? Well, the reins represent your sense of discernment. Okay? That's called viveka. And I actually mentioned that last week. Viveka is a mental propensity called vritti in Sanskrit that exists in the Anahata chakra. So if you don't have a firm grip of, in other words, if you don't know what is right and what is wrong, what is appropriate, what is not appropriate, what is the time and place for the thing that needs to be doing now, if you cannot discern that properly, then you don't have firm enough reins on those horses. So one way to accomplish, this all-around restraint is by having proper discernment, and knowing what it is that you need to do in the moment. Okay? So let me see if now there's a few more things to say. It's really not that simple. There are so many things that we do, and there's so many things to say about this topic that cannot be covered in this class, in our collective meditation today. So but it's not as simple as just like, okay, I know right from wrong, so I will always do right. We know it's not that simple. So there's so many other factors involved. Sometimes even the food that you eat helps you, doesn't help you have mental clarity. Sometimes the company you keep influences your mind, doesn't let you make the right decisions. Sometimes the movies you're watching, the thoughts that you're continually recurring in your mind, all of those things will affect your sense of discernment. All of those things will color your mind. So you see, it's so a good question then is, how can I fortify my viveka? And you could, just a simple one is that's kind of very metaphysical. You can strengthen the anahata chakra, the heart chakra, and expand. Try to expand your sense of love, your sense of your just education. Experiencing a sense of mental expansion will also help. Like sometimes we're kind of too stuck with entertainment. But, in the moments of downtime, you can choose. Should I watch some video that's for entertainment, or should I watch some video that's for education? The more education you have, the more inspiration you get, you will make better decisions. These are just very small examples. A big way to improve your sense of discernment is also meditation. And and also and so today the meditation that we're going to practice is a meditation that is going to help us sort of get to the core of the mental propensities that sometimes that govern our lives. Okay, so for example, so this is the background now that comes to the meditation that we'll practice now. In our tantric philosophy, each chakra is like a cluster of emotions. Okay, so Muladhara chakra has 4 propensities, hence why it has 4 petals around the lotus, right? The chakras are found inside lotus flowers. That's how the yogis visualize them. And second chakra has 6 petals. The Manipura chakra has 10 petals. The heart, Anahata chakra, 12, and here there's 16. Agya has 2, and the Sahasrara chakra has 1,000. Now, if you add up all of those propensities that I just said, that adds up to 50, okay, beneath the Sahasrara chakra. And those 50 propensities can be expressed externally and internally. You could be irritated at people on the outside of you. You could be irritated at yourself. And so that's times 2, that's 100 propensities. And then those propensities can be expressed with the different the different motor organs, the different senses, Therefore, when you multiply the many different ways that the propensities are expressed, it totals out to 1,000. Okay? And so, therefore, those petals in the Sahasrara chakra, the 1,000 petals, they represent collectively in one cluster all of the propensities. So if you can control the Sahasrara chakra, which is I'm sorry to laugh, very, very difficult. If you can control the Sahasrara chakra, then you can control all of the mental propensities. Your mind is almost suspended, and so all you are is the soul. And it makes sense because the Sahasrara chakra is basically like the soul. It's like the beyond mind. The Agya chakra is beyond body. Sahasrara chakra is beyond mind. So therefore, today we're going to do a meditation that I'm going to invite you to explore your Sahasrara chakra. And I'm going to invite you to enter a point inside of the Sahasrara chakra, a controlling point, because each chakra has a controlling point. Okay? And so if you can control that point, if you can enter that point, then you can control that chakra. So I'm going to invite you in our meditation to go to a controlling point in the Sahasrara chakra, to explore this. And the idea is that if you can, make that point more spiritual, give it more energy, then maybe you have a good chance at controlling all of the vrittis, all of the things that send you in a million different places, And of course, an exercise like this, you wouldn't just want to go straight to the Sahasrara chakra. You want to actually, go to each chakra, find the controlling point of each chakra, and boom, make sure that chakra is fortified, is controlled. Then the next one, then the next one, then the next one. And then you would get to the last one. But that's more advanced meditation. And so you can learn those types of meditation techniques through our program, if you follow our program. Okay, these are part of the later lessons that you would get. But for now, we're going to explore this together. We're going to try this and go straight to the top. Okay. I see that there is some comments here. Why don't I address a little bit of comments, and then maybe there will also be time at the end of during the meditation for more comments. So let's see here. Noelia said, sounds great. Okay, thank you. And Zampernelli said, that would be nice. Tanmai says, yes. They're answering my previous question. Joanne, hi everyone. Hello, Joanne. Welcome. Tell us how many times you've been here, please. Kayla, Arjuna and Krishna, yes. Those were the people in the picture. That's right. And thank you. And Minna saying, looking forward to the stories. Okay. And we're going to do a meditation now, and then we'll take some more comments after that. Zampernelli saying, healthy mind, healthy body. Yes, mind is first. But body is just as important, but still everything has, mind and body are one, right? But they're also separate, and it's better actually to prioritize mental health than physical health. But I'm not saying to neglect physical health at all. Okay, they're both equally important. But the mind is more powerful. You have to fortify the mind. It's more important than the body. Okay, I said it. All right, let's move on. So here we go. Kayla is saying, is that the crown? The Sahasrara chakra? Yes, that's the crown chakra. Okay. Let's look over here where CJ said, Namaskar. Have been here with you over a dozen times. Fun fact, never lived in the same place continuously for more than 3 years. I'm grateful for another day to move closer toward my authentic self. Thank you, brother, for doing that with us. Thank you so much for being here. And we see here, Kyle says, sometimes I like to go against these instincts for various reasons. For a time, I felt somehow guilty giving off to some of these desires, be it food, sex, or even sleep. Okay, thank you for that comment. Very, very important. Now, there are some, you may have seen that there are some sadhus in India. Sadhus are the ascetic yogis, who dedicate their life to their path. They're homeless. Oftentimes they're naked. They beg for food. Some of them have dreadlocks. They live a very ascetic life. Now, sometimes those yogis are a bit, in my humble opinion, misguided. Because sometimes they do things like they'll stand on one foot and say, for the rest of my life, I will just stand on one foot. Or sometimes they take their urinary organ and they will, it's horrible. They will try to mutilate it. And so why are they mutilating their urinary organ? Because they want to get rid of the sex propensity. Why do they stand with one foot? Well, maybe they want to get rid of the ability to move around. You could be more in one place, more centered, less distracted by the world. I'm not sure if that's the reason for that. That could have just been an austerity, some kind of penance, But imagine if you're the type of person that like you don't want to have what's the word? You don't want to be distracted by looking at things. So what are you going to do? You're going to cut out your eyes. You know, these things, believe it or not, have been a part of some misguided yoga traditions, that you will want to annihilate the organs just so you can be in the mind and in the soul. That's ridiculous. The point is not to, let's say, take out your eyes if you want to avoid looking at some beautiful people, right? You want to avoid your sexual attraction for others. So, oh God, then I will go blind. No. Because if you take out your eyes, you will not be able to see. And when you can see, you can help people. Your eyes can do so much good in the world. You know, without eyes, how can you help others? How can you help yourself? So it's not about punishing the organs, punishing yourself for having the mental propensities that are negative, or punishing yourself, cutting off your senses, like, um, I will not eat, I will only eat this type of food, you know, and not want to enjoy some other flavors. So you don't want to annihilate the organs. You want to just have proper control over them. That's all that it's about. You cannot repress yourself. Repression leads to um, a double fold of what you don't want. You know, what happens is that if you have a strong desire for something, and that desire persists, because sometimes you have a desire for things, you take your attention away from it, it goes away. But sometimes the desire persists. And if a desire is persisting for too long, then when it's finally released, now there's a buildup. Like, imagine if you have a negative desire against somebody. Well, if it was expressed at first, it could have just been like a simple, let's say, just an insult. You just insult the person. But if that stays in your mind and it's resonating in the mind, it's building, you're repressing the urge to want to communicate that, let's say, although that could be harmful. But what's going to happen is that when it's released, it'll be released now with anger, maybe with physical force. So repression is the worst thing that we can do to ourselves, is to repress ourselves. Okay, what we want to do is we want to have control over our desires, control over our organs, not annihilate them, not repress them. Okay? All right, so let's see here. Last comment, Shivas Kumar says, thanks. All right.